Bonjour tout le monde, welcome to Paris and Weekday Wanderings. My name's Jackie and I'd like to invite you to come for a walk around my quartier. So we're in the 14th arrondissement. We are at the Porte de Lyon, which is a major entrance point to Paris and general public transport hub. It's a very busy place. So let me show it to you, and you will see your average everyday traffic situation in Paris. Okay, so we're in the 14th. This is the southernmost point of Paris. Okay, we have line 4 metro is here, and I'll talk a bit about line 4 metro. Bonjour Judy. We also have tram 3A, which is an important tram that runs the whole bottom southern arc of Paris. And this road that we're on here is called the Boulevard, well, it's the Boulevard des Maréchaux. So there's a big ring road that goes around Paris, which is called the Boulevard des Maréchaux. And this one is Boulevard de Brune, and this one is Boulevard Jourdain, I think. I usually head off down this area here. Bonjour Susan McGregor, welcome. So we're a bit low key today. I'm staying very close to home. It's a bit cold and I've had a very busy last couple of weeks, so I just need to recover a little bit. Judy says hi all, please say hi and tell us where you're from at the moment. Okay, so the place we're in is called the Place du 25 août 1945. So imagine that is your address. Okay, so you feel sorry for all of these people who live in these apartments here. That's their address. Okay, and this is the avenue of 25 août 1944. Okay. So this road here is the Avenue du Général Leclerc, and you can see the very top of the Église Saint-Pierre de Montrouge, and that is at Metro Elysia. So that's my metro station there. Okay. So we've been up this way before. D'Enfer Rochereau is further along, so that's where the catacombs and the Liberation Museum are. And I'm going to talk a bit about the Liberation for for relatively obvious reasons. The Liberation Museum is also the Musée du Général Leclerc, and this is the Avenue Général Leclerc. And obviously Général Leclerc is a very important man. Everyone knows about Général de Gaulle. Général Leclerc is probably the second most important person in France in regards to the liberation of France and the goings on during World War II. So this is a very important historical part of Paris for that reason. So the 25 août 1944, so the 25th of August 1944, was the day that Paris was liberated by Général Leclerc, which is why this area is named after him. And he actually entered Paris here at Porte de Lyon. Okay, so just in terms of our past walks, a few months ago perhaps, we were down this way, which is Parc Montsouris, it's down here, and the Cité Universitaire. So that's where that is. It's just a couple of blocks along there. Okay, so let's head up this way. It'll be slightly less busy. Let's see if I can get here without being squished by a taxi. So like I said, it's a very, very busy area for transport into Paris. So it's like the changeover between the inside and the outside of Paris. So if you see a bus that has 3 digits, it means that it's outside of Paris. So the 2-digit buses are all inside Paris. This particular one goes to the École Vétérinaire, which is at Maison Alfort. It is absolutely amazing. There is an amazing museum there if you like gory things like I do, because I used to be a medical laboratory technician. I love that sort of stuff, and it's really interesting. Go to it if you ever get a chance. It's the museum at Maison Alfort. It's actually called the Musée Fragonard. It's not the same Monsieur Fragonard. as the perfume. It's a different guy. But he was amazing, and some of the work he did was, like, to me, absolutely astonishing. Hi Sally Davies, we've already chatted today. Nice to see you again in this forum. Okay, so we're heading down, we're going towards the outside, so we're going south, heading away from the centre of Paris, and we are going to, we've got a lot of buses, so it's a little bit boring. We're actually heading towards the périphérique. So I wanted to show you, like I said, it's a lesser interesting part of Paris because it's a lot of people obviously want to do the touristy things in the centre, but this is where we change over from the city of Paris to Ile-de-France, which is the towns outside of Paris. So Judy says, great tip, buses with 3 digits are from outside Paris. Yes. Okay, alright, let me talk about Line 4 Metro. Okay, so Line 4 Metro has undergone some monumental changes in the last week, which some people have talked about, so I wanted to elaborate on that somewhat. So it was opened in 1908, Line 4 Metro. At first it started at Porte de, which is the top north, which we've been to as well. Bonjour Margaret Reacher, I would like to talk to you later if you can, that would be wonderful. So that one went from Porte de Clignancourt all the way down to Châtelet, which is just north of the Seine. And then about a year later they opened a section from Porte de Lyon, where we are now, to Raspail. And then a year after that they connected the two, and it was Line 4 actually was the first metro line which had a tunnel going under the Seine. Okay, before that it was just a bridge going over the Seine, but that was the first tunnel under the Seine. Okay, so recently, well, it was in 2013, Metro Line 4 was extended to the Mairie de Montrouge. Okay, so where we are exactly, which is my quartier, is called Petit Montrouge. Okay. And just over the périphérique, when we head outside of Paris, it is the town of Montrouge. So you can actually see Montrouge, that's where that large hotel is, that's actually Montrouge there. So Petit Montrouge is inside of Paris, Montrouge is outside of Paris. Okay. And so the Mairie of Montrouge got their own metro station in 2013 on Line 4. And then just this week, last week just been, it was again extended and to Bagneux, which is further south of Montrouge. And so they have 2 new metro stations, Barbara and Lucille Braque. Now Lucille Braque was resistant, she was very famous, her and her husband did a lot of great things during the war, and very renowned. And Lucy is actually buried at the cemetery of Bagneux. And also Barbara, who has a metro station named after her, she was born in Paris, and she was a famous singer back in the 50s and the 60s and that. And she's also buried at the cemetery of Bagneux. So that was part of why she's had a metro station named after her. Okay, so we've arrived at the Monument for le Général Leclerc. So Leclerc was actually his nom de guerre, so that was the name he assumed. It's quite an auspicious name, Leclerc, it was very famous. But his name was actually Philippe de Hautecloque. He was of aristocratic lineage. Okay, so he was very important in the Free France forces. He worked very closely alongside a lot of the great military names of World War II, particularly General de Gaulle. He was in North Africa, fighting against the Italians at the beginning of the 1940s. And one of his first big military victories General Leclerc. So he was Maréchal de France 1902 to 1947. He died in 1947 after the war in a plane crash. One of his great military victories was at a place called, let's see if we can find it, Kufra, okay, which was in Libya in the Sahara Desert. And Kufra was an oasis, and that was a big victory for them. And of course at the time France was occupied by the Axis forces, and when he won at Kufra he made an oath which is called the Serment de Kufra. Serment means oath in French, and this was his oath: J'aurais ne déposer les armes que le jour où nos couleurs sont belles pour, I can't say, flotter sur la cathédrale de Strasbourg. And that was the Serment of Kufra, the 2nd of March 1941. So basically that was him saying, we will not lay down our arms until our flag flies over the Cathedral of Strasbourg. Okay, because at the time Strasbourg was occupied by Germany. So that was finally achieved in the end of 1944. So it was a great achievement. Okay, so this is, like I said, General de Gaulle. Leclerc. They look very similar, to be honest. They wore the same hat. Okay, so we're on the Avenue du Montrouge at the moment, and we're heading towards Montrouge. Okay, I really want to go over there, but it's a bit tricky, so I'm gonna head over there. It's a very busy road and there are limited pedestrian crossings, so we have to go up here. So it's not the most scenic part of Paris, but I really enjoy the historical nature of it and its significance. Of course, the area that we're in now is very new, because at one point it was, you would call it a shanty town. This was very much the outskirts of Paris, and hence you've got a lot of people living on the edge. Loli Rios, bonjour. Loving this. Oh, I'm pleased you're enjoying it. Like I said, it's not the most beautiful part of Paris, but it is significant. So over here we have the périphérique. So once you cross over that road there, you're technically not in Paris anymore. So we're currently in the 14th arrondissement. Still, we're in Petit Montrouge, which is the 14th, and we're at the very, very, very southernmost tip of Paris, right in the middle. So this park that we're in is called the Square du Serment de Kufra. So that was the Oath of Kufra that I was just telling you about. And it's a lovely little park. Well, it's not little, but you know, it's a good size. It's a little less interesting at this time of year, but in the summertime, in the spring, it's absolutely gorgeous. And usually it's packed. Okay, this is a little community garden that we have here. There are a lot of little community gardens, especially around this area. And this one that they've nicknamed the Oasis de Kufra. So that's quite cute because it relates back to the Serment de Kufra, because that was done at the Oasis de Kufra, which is in the Sahara Desert. So they've got a few things growing in there. So this is quite a typical setup for a park here in Paris. You've got composting areas for the locals. You usually have a basketball court. You usually have a little playground area, rubbish bins and everything. So I do think that we're very well catered for, you know, with, you know, children and everything in Paris. I think we're quite lucky. It's green enough. Okay, here it's quite tranquil, even though we're right next to the Périphérique. It's quite tranquil here. Okay, so the Périphérique was basically the outside of the Enceinte de Thiers. The Enceinte de Thiers was the third big city wall that was built around Paris. So it was the most recent, and that basically stopped being used around World War I, and then it was demolished during the interwar period. Hi there, Glenda May. You're loving my walk. Thank you so much, and welcome from sunny Queensland. It's not sunny here, it's a bit chilly, but we're all good. Okay, now we're just bisecting the park. There's a nice little alley. I really like this little, not so little, statue here. I think it's beautiful. It's been here a little while. It's gorgeous. Okay, now this alleyway has recently been renamed, and I'll show you why. It's been called the Allée Clarissa Jean-Philippe. Okay, so she was a young policewoman who was unfortunately killed in the line of duty following the Charlie Hebdo massacre. So Charlie Hebdo occurred on the 7th of January, so we've recently commemorated the anniversary of that. And then of course in the subsequent days there were several atrocities that also happened, and this was one. So she was a young police officer who was killed just here in Montrouge, and this alley was named in her honour. So it's been a very, very sad couple of weeks actually, with lots of memorials of people who have passed, especially in my family. And as we come over here, so we're bisecting the park. Gardeners doing their job. You can probably see across the road there. This is the Cimetière de Montrouge. So it's technically in Paris, but it's the Cimetière Montrouge. I suppose Montrouge wanted it outside their city, so they thought they would put it on the Périphérique, which seems pretty reasonable. We have a skateboard bowl over here. There's a manege there, which obviously is not open at the moment because none of the kids are out. Okay, so because this is all within 1 kilometre radius of my home, I was lucky to be able to come for walks here during lockdown when we were only allowed to travel exercise within 1 kilometre of our dwelling. So I was lucky that I had a park to go to, and actually the cemeteries were really, really interesting to go to too, because they have a lot of history in them. Another feature of a lot of Parisian parks is an apiary, so they have beehives. We like to collect honey. Okay, so we've gone right through the park. So it's just a little park, but it gets busy, very quickly. And we're heading to the end of our walk, so I'm going to show you the Périphérique to see how crazy it is. And obviously this is not popular place to live because it's right on the edge of Paris, but you know, it's not so bad. So there's the Périphérique. Okay, and we're gonna go to the very edge here. So if you look across the road here, it's just a tiny little road, but it is very significant because the moment you cross that road, you're no longer in Paris. So at the moment, we're still in the 14th arrondissement. We're gonna get run over by this car. No. So 14th arrondissement, avenue de la Porte de Montrouge. So this is the Porte de Montrouge. So when we talk about the Porte de Montrouge or the Porte d'Orléans or the Porte de Versailles or whatever, these are all doorways in the Enceinte de Thiers, which ran all the way around Paris. There were 17 doors. So Porte de Clignancourt is the one in the direct north from here. And this is Porte de Montrouge, and then of course we started at Porte d'Orléans, and then there's one along here called the Porte du Châtillon. So yeah, lots of them. Okay, I'm just waiting to be able to cross the road. I'll see if I can sneak across. No, probably not. Here we go. Et voilà. Okay. So the only way you know that you're outside of Paris is that the street signs no longer have Paris written on them, and in this case they're little brown ones. You can see that? So that's taken to tell that you're out of Paris now. You don't have these nice blue and green ones. And here is the Cimetière de Montrouge, and the only person of note that I personally know, there's probably people that other people are familiar with, but the one person buried here who is well known is Coluche, who was a very famous actor, comic, and he is buried here. I'll see if I can find his tomb. The first time I came in here, I didn't really know where I was going. I just was coming for a wander. But there are some beautiful monuments here. And the one for Coluche just stood out because it's just so iconic. Okay, there's Maurice Arnoux. He was an aviator, as you possibly could tell because of the beautiful winged monument there. Okay, I will finish very soon. Okay. So again, a nice tranquil place to come and relax or commune. Et voilà. This is the tomb of Coluche. Yes, so Judy says, Coluche, did you know he started the charity Les Restos du Cœur? Yes, indeed. So, okay. Well, I have to finish now, so merci. Pardon, monsieur, je savais pas. Okay, merci. Okay. Well, we'll say goodbye now, so thank you for joining me. We will see you next Friday. Take care. Bonne journée.